Energy never lies. And when someone regrets losing you, that vibration seeps through every layer of their being. No matter how tightly they try to conceal it, you can feel it before you see it. There's something about the shift in the atmosphere when a person who once held your heart begins to realize the weight of your absence. It's subtle, but powerful. Like the way the air feels different after a storm, quiet, charged, and filled with unspoken emotion. He might smile as if he has moved on, post pictures that scream confidence, laugh loudly in the presence of others. But when he's alone, that mask begins to tremble because energy cannot be faked. And what is felt deeply once continues to echo in the soul until it is fully healed or faced. You sense it when his name crosses your mind without warning. When memories replay, not because you are holding on, but because his energy is calling out in silence, he can tell himself that he's fine, that losing you was the right decision, that he's stronger without. But regret vibrates differently than peace. Peace is light, soft, and still. Regret, on the other hand, carries weight. It drags, it lingers, it hides behind late-night thoughts and half-hearted distractions. You can almost feel it traveling through the unseen threads that once connected you both. When two souls have shared time, laughter, tears, and moments of real intimacy, they leave traces of themselves within each other's energy field. When he pretends to be unbothered, his words may convince others, but not his energy, because that energy remembers what his mind tries to forget. The universe works like a mirror. What we send out, we receive back. If he gave love and lost it, the vibration of that love doesn't vanish. It transforms into reflection. It becomes the echo of lessons unlearned. He might try to drown it out with busyness or distractions, but every quiet moment becomes a confrontation with himself. That's where the truth begins to surface. His heart remembers the comfort of your presence, the calmness of your voice, the security that can't be replicated by anyone else. He may act composed, but the eyes always betray the soul. There's a flicker of recognition, a glance that lingers too long, a hesitation before speaking your name. But those are the energetic signals of a man realizing what he once took for granted. Energy speaks through behavior. When he scrolls through old photos, when he visits familiar places, when he listens to a song that suddenly hurts, that's his vibration trying to reconnect with the frequency it once resonated with. Because your energy, once it touched his, created a resonance. And resonance doesn't dissolve overnight. It fades only when the lesson of that connection has been fully understood, when he feels that ache, that pull, that strange restlessness he can't explain. It's not just memory, it's vibration responding to the energy field you once shared. Many think regret is a thought, but it's not. It's a frequency. It lives inside the subconscious and is transmitted through tone, posture, and timing. You notice it when he suddenly appears at the exact moment you begin to move on, when he comments or likes something out of nowhere, as if his energy sensed your shift. It's not coincidence, it's vibration aligning. Because when one person's frequency changes, the other feels it. If you've begun healing, your light becomes louder than his pride. And that contrast creates a magnetic pull that exposes his inner conflict. He may resist it, act indifferent, or even deny it. But the vibration of regret keeps resurfacing, demanding acknowledgement. In moments of solitude, his mind may wander, but his energy drifts toward you. He replays the last words, the missed opportunities, the kindness you offered freely, and the warmth that felt like home. No amount of pretending can mute that energetic imprint. He may smile on the outside, but inside the vibration of loss hums like a low, constant frequency that refuses to quiet down. It's that feeling he can't name, the disconnection from something pure. And when a soul has once been connected to authenticity, every shallow connection afterward feels hollow. That's the unspoken truth of regret. It doesn't announce itself loudly. It whispers through stillness. The reason you can sense it is because energy moves in cycles. What is sent out finds its way back. The love you gave was not wasted. It was stored in the energetic universe, and he now walks through the reflection of what he lost. Every reminder of you, your laugh, your scent, your name spoken in passing, triggers an energetic ripple that reminds him of what once aligned perfectly, but now stands apart. That's how the universe teaches awareness. It doesn't punish, it reveals. And when that revelation comes, when he finally realizes that your energy was rare, grounded, and irreplaceable, it's not the memory that haunts him. It's the vibration of your presence that once brought harmony to his inner world. When someone regrets losing you, their words might say one thing, but their actions begin to tell the truth that their pride cannot speak. It starts quietly, almost unnoticed, like a pattern forming beneath the surface of ordinary moments. He may act cold, detached, or indifferent, pretending that your absence has no effect. But life has a way of revealing what's real through behavior. When a man truly regrets losing someone who brought meaning, peace, and depth into his world, his actions begin to betray the image he tries to project. You can see it in the sudden reappearances, the delayed messages, the strange coincidences that seem too perfect to be random. The man who once stopped showing up begins to circle back, not because he has changed overnight, but because the energy of regret is heavier than the armor of pride he wears. At first, he will convince himself that he is just checking in, being polite, or curious about how you've been, but underneath those reasons lies the unspoken truth. He is drawn to the stability he once felt around you. He remembers the ease of your presence, the way you made him feel seen without judgment, and though he won't admit it out loud, he finds himself chasing that feeling again in small, subtle ways. You'll notice he begins to ask indirect questions about your life, about your happiness, as if trying to measure how deeply you've moved on. He may even speak to mutual friends, searching for glimpses of your world without having to face you directly. That's what regret does. It drives people to seek reconnection, not through confession, but through cautious observation. When his actions begin to shift, it's often not through grand gestures, but through inconsistencies. He may disappear and reappear, message, and then pull back, compliment you, and then act distant again. It's the struggle between ego and emotion, between wanting to protect his pride and needing to acknowledge what his soul feels. His timing becomes telling. He shows up when you least expect it, when you have begun to find peace, because something in him senses your detachment. People who regret losing someone often feel it most when the other person's energy begins to rise again. The moment you redirect your focus inward, when your peace grows louder than your pain, that's when his regret begins to surface through his actions. He might start liking your posts, responding to your stories, or reminiscing about moments long past, not because he simply wants attention, but because he's searching for a doorway back to what he lost. Words can be rehearsed, but actions are spontaneous. They come from the subconscious. And the subconscious doesn't lie. When he starts showing up at places you used to go, when he keeps something you gave him close, when he remembers small details about you that no one else would, that's the subconscious revealing regret. He might try to appear confident, even unaffected, but small cracks begin to form in that mask. His laughter feels forced. His presence feels restless, and his attempts at distraction fall flat. There's a quiet tension between how he wants to appear and how he truly feels inside. That's the moment you realize. His actions are now speaking the truth that his ego has been trying to silence. Regret doesn't always look like apologies or confessions. Sometimes it's shown in effort, hesitation, or the inability to let go fully. He might start bringing up the past, testing if you still remember, or casually mentioning something that only the two of you would understand. He may offer help without being asked, or show up when you need it most, as if the universe keeps pulling him back into your orbit. These aren't coincidences. They're reflections of the internal battle he's fighting, the part of him that wishes he had done things differently, clashing with the part that's too proud to say it. You can tell through the tone of his messages, the pauses in his conversations, the long silences followed by sudden bursts of communication. It's all energy revealing emotion through action. Even the things he doesn't do start to speak volumes. When he avoids certain topics, when his eyes shift at the mention of your name, when he withdraws from people connected to you, those absences carry meaning. Avoidance is a form of acknowledgement. It's the body's way of protecting itself from what it doesn't want to face. He acts unbothered, but his avoidance becomes proof of his discomfort. He may pretend that he doesn't think of you, but every step he takes that indirectly leads back to you shows otherwise. Regret doesn't need to announce itself loudly. It lingers quietly in gestures, in hesitation, in patterns that repeat themselves over and over until the lesson is learned. You can always tell when actions begin to outweigh words. Words can disguise emotion for a moment, but actions reveal the truth over time. The man who once said he didn't care suddenly remembers the things that matter to you. He becomes gentler, more thoughtful, even when he doesn't realize it. He might try to support you from afar, defend you when others speak, or express admiration disguised as casual conversation. All of this is the language of regret translated through motion. The irony is that he may not even understand what he's doing. It's his energy guiding him toward reconciliation, while his mind struggles to maintain distance. That's what happens when the emotional body remembers what the logical mind tries to deny. It starts to act out the truth through behavior, through presence, through effort, through timing that cannot be faked. That's when you realize that no matter how composed he looks, his actions have already confessed what his words never will. Every emotional connection between two people leaves behind an energetic imprint, a vibration that doesn't simply disappear when the relationship ends. It lingers, echoing through time and space, waiting for balance or closure. When a man loses someone who once touched him deeply, that unfinished emotional cycle begins to haunt him in invisible ways. He might not even understand what he's feeling, but the echo of what once was continues to ripple through his life. It appears in the form of restlessness, unexpected sadness, or the inability to feel complete with anyone else. When something real remains unresolved, the soul feels it long after the words have faded and the moments have passed. That's the nature of emotional energy. It never dies. It just changes form. And when the connection was meaningful, it always returns. At first, he may convince himself that the past no longer matters, that he has moved on, and that what happened between you was just a chapter closed. But time has a way of peeling back the layers of illusion. Weeks turn into months, and somewhere between the quiet moments and the noise of daily life, he starts to feel the echo. It comes when he least expects it, a scent that reminds him of you, a song that suddenly feels heavy, or a place that stirs something in him he can't quite explain. These are not coincidences. They are reminders from his own emotional field that the cycle between you was never truly closed. The energy you both created together seeks resolution, and until it finds peace, it keeps revisiting him, pulling him back into reflection. Every memory carries emotional weight, and when love was real, it leaves behind fragments that cling to the spirit. When he remembers the way you looked at him, the sound of your laughter, or the peace that came from your presence, he doesn't just recall moments, he feels vibrations. Those vibrations awaken the parts of him he tried to bury, forcing him to confront emotions he avoided. The more he resists, the louder the echoes become. That's how emotional cycles work. Denial doesn't dissolve them, it intensifies them. The heart keeps replaying unfinished lessons until understanding replaces regret. That's why no matter how hard he tries to move forward, a part of him always looks back. He is drawn to the frequency that once made him feel alive, even if he can't admit it. When two souls connect deeply, they form an emotional rhythm. When one breaks away suddenly, the rhythm becomes disrupted, and both feel the imbalance. For the one who wasn't ready to let go, that imbalance feels like a quiet ache that never leaves. He may distract himself with work, new people, or endless activity, but the mind can't outrun the frequency of the heart. Eventually, he begins to notice that certain feelings can't be replicated. The comfort, the safety, the understanding he once took for granted now feels irreplaceable. No one else laughs the same way. No one listens with the same sincerity. No one brings him the same peace. That realization is when the emotional echo grows stronger. It's not nostalgia, it's the subconscious yearning for energetic completion. Sometimes regret doesn't arrive immediately. It seeps in slowly, like light filtering through cracks. It's when he's alone at night and his thoughts wander toward you without warning, when his dreams bring back pieces of the past he thought were forgotten. These are the signs of unfinished emotion resurfacing. He may even feel irritated by it, frustrated that he still cares, but that's the pull of the emotional cycle. It won't stop until he acknowledges what he's truly feeling. Emotional energy demands recognition. It wants to be understood, not ignored. Every time he pushes it away, it returns stronger, appearing in patterns, in repeated mistakes, or in new relationships that mimic the old one. That's how life teaches, through repetition, until the soul finally accepts what it lost and learns from it. He might see your face in a crowd, hear your voice in a stranger, or suddenly think of something you once said during moments of stillness. Each of those moments is a vibration of memory calling him back to reflection. These are not signs of obsession. They are reminders of the emotional bond that still exists at a subtle level. The cycle between two connected people isn't measured by time apart. It's measured by whether emotional closure was achieved. And when there was none, the universe continues to bring reminders until the energy finds peace. That's why he might reach out suddenly after a long silence, or feel compelled to apologize without knowing why. The pull comes from deep within, from the part of him that knows something remains unsaid. Unfinished emotional cycles are not punishment, they are opportunities for growth. They remind him of what he lost and teach him to value what he once took lightly. As the echoes of your connection continue to ripple through his heart, he begins to recognize that his avoidance didn't erase the bond. It only delayed his understanding of it. Every encounter, every memory, every moment of reflection is part of that echo returning to him, urging him to face the truth he has been avoiding. Because deep connections are never random, they exist to awaken awareness. And until he confronts what that connection meant, the vibrations of regret will continue to call him back toward the lessons left unfinished, whispering reminders of the emotional truth he tried to escape. Absence has a mysterious power that presence often hides. When you are gone, when your voice no longer fills his days and your laughter no longer lingers in his space, a strange silence begins to take root in his mind. At first, he might mistake it for freedom, for relief from the emotional weight of the relationship. He might even convince himself that he needed distance, that life without you would be easier, lighter, less complicated. But time has a way of teaching what words cannot. The moments that once felt ordinary begin to transform into memories that sting. The quiet becomes loud. The spaces once shared start to feel empty in ways that nothing else can fill. That's when reflection begins, not out of choice, but out of necessity. Because the absence of something real always creates awareness in the heart that took it for granted. He may not show it at first. He might appear to move on quickly, surround himself with noise, fill his schedule with distractions, and wear a mask of contentment. But absence is not fooled by appearance. It works beneath the surface, slowly dismantling illusions and forcing confrontation with truth. When he no longer has your presence to absorb his chaos or your understanding to soften his pride, the mirror begins to form. It's in that mirror that he starts to see himself. Not the confident version he shows to the world, but the flawed, incomplete version that your love once accepted without judgment. The absence of your energy exposes what his ego once concealed. The comfort you provided, the balance you brought, the calm you created. These things become visible only after they're gone. There comes a day when he realizes that the peace he feels around others never quite matches the peace he once felt with you. It happens unexpectedly. Maybe when he laughs and notices it doesn't feel genuine, or when he achieves something yet feels a strange emptiness afterward. He may not immediately link it to you, but subconsciously he knows, because energy remembers. When two people share authentic connection, their frequencies align, creating harmony that lingers even after separation. When that harmony breaks, absence amplifies the dissonance. What was once taken as natural now becomes noticeable by its void. He starts to crave the calm that used to come effortlessly when you were around, but he can't recreate it, no matter how hard he tries. That's when realization starts to dawn, that it wasn't the world that brought him peace, it was you. Absence is a teacher that speaks in silence. It whispers lessons through the moments when he scrolls through his phone, half hoping to see your name appear. It reveals itself when he finds himself revisiting old memories, not because he's nostalgic, but because something inside him longs for emotional equilibrium. Absence magnifies what once went unnoticed. The way you used to listen, the patience you had, the care in your words, all those small things that once seemed ordinary now appear golden. When people lose something of real value, their memory begins to romanticize, not because they want to, but because the soul craves what it knows it will not easily find again. Over time, his mind starts connecting dots between how he feels now and what he once felt with you. He might see other faces, meet new people, and share laughter, but something always feels off. No matter how bright the new connections seem, they don't resonate the same. The frequency is different. The energy doesn't flow. That's when absence truly begins its work. It forces comparison, not out of judgment, but out of awareness. The heart begins to recognize that what once felt stable and grounding was actually rare. The absence of your presence becomes the presence of realization. It builds slowly until even he can no longer deny that his peace was tied to the connection he once undervalued. This awareness can be both painful and awakening. Painful because it brings him face to face with the consequences of his choices. Awakening because it begins to shift his perception. The image he had of you, once clouded by routine or frustration, becomes clear again. He starts to see the depth of your love, the loyalty in your silence, the effort behind your understanding. Absence removes distortion. When emotions settle and the noise fades, truth becomes undeniable. The mind remembers how it felt to be genuinely cared for, how rare it was to be seen without having to perform. Those realizations don't come during closeness, they bloom in distance. And as days turn to weeks, that reflection deepens. He begins to replay moments differently, this time not as a victim of circumstance, but as a witness of loss. The tone of your voice, the warmth in your presence, the small ways you brought harmony, they replay in his thoughts like unfinished lines in a song he can't stop humming. He doesn't say it out loud, but he feels it internally. Life feels duller without you. Even laughter has a hollow ring. Absence has taken the illusion of indifference and replaced it with awareness. It becomes impossible for him to escape the truth that your presence carried value far beyond what he recognized at the time. The realization doesn't come with fireworks, it comes in quiet understanding that losing you wasn't just losing a person, it was losing balance, peace, and emotional gravity that his world once unknowingly revolved around. Regret rarely announces itself through words. It slips quietly into the subconscious and reveals itself through subtle triggers that expose what someone truly feels. When he regrets losing you, his longing doesn't come out as a confession. It appears in patterns, reactions, and slips of emotion that even he doesn't notice at first. It's in the small pauses before he responds, the tone in his voice when your name comes up, the way his energy changes when something reminds him of you. These subconscious triggers are the soul's way of speaking. When pride keeps the lips sealed, they turn ordinary moments into emotional mirrors, reflecting the truth that he can no longer hide. He might tell himself that he's moved on, that you're just a part of his past, but his behavior betrays him. When someone's subconscious is filled with regret, their mind becomes a loop of reminders, always circling back to what was lost. A random song comes on, and for a few seconds, he's not in the present. He's back in the memory of a time when you were beside him. A familiar scent passes, and his chest tightens with a feeling he doesn't want to name. Even scrolling through social media, he might stop on your photo a second longer than he should, analyzing every detail, wondering how you've changed, who you've become, and whether you still think of him at all. These are the moments when the mask slips, when the subconscious overrides the ego. The human mind has a way of replaying unfinished emotions through subtle behavior. He might find himself mentioning you unexpectedly in conversation, even when there's no reason to. He might bring up stories from the past, laugh about things that only the two of you would understand, or ask mutual friends about your life under the disguise of casual curiosity. Those slips are never accidental. They're signs of an inner conflict, a part of him still trying to process what he lost. The subconscious cannot lie. It always finds a way to express what the conscious mind suppresses. And when the connection once held depth, those expressions become more frequent, more emotional, more revealing. Sometimes his longing will manifest through sudden irritability or restlessness. When he sees you doing well, happy, glowing, living fully, he might feel a mix of pride and discomfort. Part of him is glad that you're thriving, but another part feels the sting of realization that he no longer plays a role in your happiness. That recognition triggers unease. He might react defensively, criticize what he doesn't understand, or withdraw completely to protect his ego. But behind that reaction lies a deep, unspoken truth, the pain of witnessing what he once had, now beyond his reach. Every success of yours becomes a reminder of the peace he traded away. The subconscious also reveals itself in timing. He might reach out suddenly after long periods of silence, right when you've emotionally detached or begun to move on. It's not coincidence, it's energy. He feels the shift without realizing it. The moment your emotional field closes to him, and instinctively he tries to re-enter it. He'll start with something small, a simple message, a like, a subtle gesture meant to test the waters. His pride won't allow him to say he misses you, so instead he will try to create contact without purpose. Hey, just checking in, saw this and thought of you. Remember when? All coded messages that carry more feeling than the words admit. His subconscious is guiding him toward you because it remembers the emotional comfort his ego pretends to forget. Sometimes the triggers are less direct. He might seek out people who remind him of you, replicate the way you spoke, or pursue situations that mimic the energy you brought into his life, but the replication never feels the same. He might date someone with similar habits or taste, but something always feels off. Something inside him quietly compares and realizes that the connection isn't matching the frequency he once knew. The mind tries to recreate what the heart has lost, but the heart always knows the difference. That awareness deepens his regret because it teaches him that what he had was not easily replaceable. He'll also find himself defending you, even when there's no reason to. If someone criticizes you or brings up your name, he'll feel a spark of emotion, an instinct to protect what once was his. He may not speak it aloud, but internally, that reaction shows the emotional bond hasn't faded. His subconscious still associates your name with meaning, with affection, with unfinished emotion, and the deeper that emotion once ran, the stronger these reflexes become. Memory plays tricks on those who carry regret. The mind begins to rewrite the past with new understanding. He will remember moments differently, realizing the things he overlooked, the patience you showed, the kindness you offered when he didn't deserve it. Those reflections come uninvited. During long drives, late nights, quiet mornings when his thoughts wander, he starts to notice that no matter how much time passes, you remain a reference point in his mind, a symbol of balance and warmth that he can't seem to find elsewhere. That's the power of subconscious longing. It doesn't need words to reveal itself. It lives in gestures, timing, expressions, and hesitation. It moves beneath the surface, quietly guiding behavior until awareness catches up. And even when he acts unbothered, even when he insists that he's fine, those tiny cracks appear. The unexpected message, the pause before your name, the look of recognition when your paths cross, those are not coincidences. They are emotional residues resurfacing through the subconscious, showing that regret has taken root where pride still refuses to admit it. Power always shifts when you rise from the pain that once broke you. The moment you stop chasing closure and start embodying peace, the energy between you and the one who lost you begins to change. He feels it before you even realize it yourself. There's a silent force that moves when you begin to heal, when your confidence returns, when your heart beats again, not out of longing, but out of purpose. That transformation doesn't go unnoticed. The man who once acted indifferent begins to sense the difference in vibration. Where once your energy was reaching toward him, now it's centered within you, and that change unsettles him, because regret grows strongest not when you are broken, but when you begin to rebuild stronger than before. When you were hurting, he could feel your pull, the invisible connection that made him comfortable, knowing he still lived somewhere in your heart. That energy gave him a false sense of control, a quiet comfort that you hadn't fully detached. But the moment you start to reclaim your power, to stop waiting for validation and to focus inward, something profound happens. The dynamic reverses. The energy that once flowed toward him now radiates outward from you. You stop asking why, stop replaying memories, stop searching for answers, and begin to nurture your own peace. And as your inner world stabilizes, his begins to tremble. He starts to feel your absence not as distance, but as loss of energetic connection. He can't explain it, but he feels the shift, the missing frequency that once anchored his sense of importance. There's an undeniable pull that occurs when you step fully into your strength. He sees you thriving, sees the glow in your energy, and though he may not admit it, it stirs something deep inside him. It's not just attraction, it's awareness. Awareness that the person he once overlooked is now operating at a level he no longer has access to. Your growth becomes his mirror, reflecting the areas in his life that remain stagnant. That realization creates discomfort. The same strength that once intimidated him now becomes the force that draws him back in. Your calm confidence, your grounded energy, your refusal to engage in old emotional patterns, all of it begins to reveal to him that you were never the weak one, never the one who lost. As your self-worth expands, you start to attract differently. Your aura changes. People respond to you with more respect, more admiration, more warmth. You carry yourself with a balance that radiates peace. And whether he's near or far, he feels that transformation because energy travels beyond distance. You no longer need his validation, and that independence creates an invisible magnetic field that makes him feel what real loss is. It's the absence of your emotional dependence that wakes him up when you no longer seek his attention, when your silence is no longer born of pain, but of power. He feels it in his core. That's when regret becomes heavy, because he begins to realize that what he once had is no longer waiting for him. He may begin to act differently, reaching out with sudden interest, asking questions about your life, or pretending to check in as if casually reconnecting. But underneath that curiosity lies something deeper: confusion mixed with admiration. He's not just wondering what changed, he's feeling the consequences of his own decisions. Your self-assurance becomes a silent reminder of what he lost through his carelessness. Every time he sees you smile with ease, every time he witnesses your peace, a part of him recognizes that your strength came from surviving the pain he caused. That awareness can shake even the most guarded heart, because power has shifted. And now it's not you waiting for his realization. It's him sitting with the weight of yours. When you step into your higher self, you begin to see everything differently. You no longer see him as someone who broke you. You see him as someone who taught you. The bitterness fades, replaced by clarity. You no longer need revenge or recognition, because you've already won by reclaiming your peace. This energy confuses him, because the emotional version of you he knew has evolved into something untouchable. He may try to reconnect, but what he finds is not the same person. The softness remains, but it's guarded by self-respect. The love is still there, but it no longer needs to prove itself. Your energy becomes both familiar and foreign. Familiar because it once belonged to him, foreign because it now operates from self-mastery instead of dependency. That transformation stirs something deep within him. Regret grows not from the memory of your love, but from the realization of your evolution. He begins to understand that while he stayed the same, you expanded. The woman he took for granted has become the version of herself that he can no longer reach. That's the irony of regret. It doesn't come when you're waiting for it. It comes when you no longer care. He starts to replay everything with new eyes, realizing how your loyalty, your empathy, your patience were gifts he didn't recognize when he had them. Now he watches from a distance as you embody the very peace he once disrupted. And in that silence between you, the energy tells the whole story. He may never say the words, but he feels it in every quiet moment, in every restless thought. Your self-love has become his reflection, showing him the cost of losing someone who chose to rise instead of chase. It's not punishment, it's the natural law of energy. What you put out comes back. You chose healing, he chose avoidance, and now your peace has become his reminder. Your strength has become the lesson his soul needed to learn.